Welcome back to Rooted and Routed podcast. My name is Sabiya. Today's guest is someone who doesn't just tell stories, she helps reclaim people. I have someone who's a global communications leader, personal branding mentor. She is the founder of Good Day PR and Strategic Communications, a consultancy rooted in conscience, clarity, and culture. Welcome, Ketaki Golatkar.
Thank you, Saviya. It's my honor and a privilege to be here.
I am really honored to have you. Honestly, it's been a while that we have been thinking of doing this.
Yes.
And I'm really glad that we are here today. I have not spoken much about your background, so maybe you can introduce us to where all you have lived and your career graph, the shifts that you have done. Maybe you can start with your introduction.
Sure. I am somebody who grew up in Bombay, proper Bombay girl. And if you notice, I always use Bombay. I don't know when they changed the name. I wasn't even in the country. But I relate to the emotion that is Bombay, the city, right? So I grew up here. I spent my first 22 years in this beautiful city, went to college, did my bachelor's from Swami Vivekananda in Chembur, did my high school from Ruya in Matunka, and very familiar with the Katta, etc. of Bombay. And did my post-graduation from St. Xavier's Institute of Communication, XIC, and then left for London for the very first time at the tender age of 22. And my life changed after that. I don't think it has been a beautiful, rewarding experience of living outside of India as well. I've now spent more than half of my life outside of India. So I started in the UK, then I lived in Germany for a bit, and now I live in the Middle East, in the UAE to be precise. So that's been my global journey so far.
And you worked with?
I worked across, I've been a career comms person, as you said. I started my career in agencies in Bombay. Then in London, I worked for a boutique agency doing some fabulous work with ethnic minorities in the UK. And post which I worked on a diplomatic project in Germany, the 60th year of Indo-German relationships. And after that, I got into sports. The last 10 years, I worked in sports broadcast and sports governance. My last stint was with the International Cricket Council to head their global comms and PR, and done some fabulous work with cricket, women's cricket in particular as well. And at Star, I was enjoying working on this lesser-known sport called Kabaddi, Pro Kabaddi League.
Pro Kabaddi, okay.
And it was one of the things of pride to take a sport, a homegrown sport, an indigenous sport to the world.
Yeah.
So that's been more or less my journey.
Well, with living in all these countries, it does happen that it changes your perception of home, the sense of home. What do you feel rooted in, and what have you outgrown since all this, 22 decades, right? You said?
Yeah, 22 years now.
Yeah.
I think as a young person, I used to think home was a space, a place, geography, right? As I grew up, I realized that you can make a home anywhere in the world as long as you're rooted in your values and you have the right set of people to create that home with, right? Whether it's your friends or your partner or your chosen family, as you see, right? And it's what you carry within you, inside of you, and not a physical space necessarily. So over the years, I find myself at home in London equally. I went to university at Kingston upon Thames, to the business school there. And I feel equally at home by the Thames, sitting and reading a book when the sun is shining a little bit. And I feel equally at home in Germany eating bratwurst or drinking German beer and speaking Hochdeutsch.
Okay.
And maybe not so much when it's very cold. The biting winters were really, really, really exhausting and draining. And something that I hadn't grown up with, right? So in Bombay, your winters are barely 28 degrees plus,
Yep.
right? And I went from plus 28 to minus 15 in a day when I moved to Germany. So that was a little bit difficult. But I think now in the Middle East is where I'm most at home, because I feel like over the years, also, by the way, the UAE is a very, very multicultural country. You have 200 plus nationalities living in that country, right? But everybody lives in harmony. Everybody is an expat, so their stories are similar to yours. The large South Asian diaspora is very, very helpful. You never miss anything from home, whether it's pav bhaji, whether it's batata vada, or pani puri. So I think you could be at home anywhere in the world as long as you know what home is for you and you carry it in your heart.
I think Dubai is one such place where you cannot really, you see everybody's an expat
Yeah,
and you don't feel like an expat.
you don't.
And if you go to Germany and as a brown person sitting among the whites, you do feel like an expat.
Yes.
Um,
You actually feel like an immigrant. You don't feel like an expat.
that,
I felt like an immigrant.
yeah.
I felt like an immigrant wife of a white German. That's how I felt
Yeah.
when I lived there.
Although it is changing maybe a little bit.
I think it's changing a little bit, but also the politics of Europe is changing a lot. So the growing sentiment of right-wing politics, where they are anti-immigrants, anti-brown people, anti-Islamophobes.
Yeah.
I mean, not anti-Islamophobes, Islamophobes.
Yeah, Islamophobe.
Right? So it is, Germany has changed drastically in the last decade or so, I would say, when I last visited. And it's scary, but I really hope that they need people because their population is aging, right? Who are the ones who are going to build the country for them and do the jobs that they don't do?
Support. Huh?
Yeah. So not just support, but also build things, right? So it is, I'm hoping that common sense prevails and they understand that they need people from all over the world, right?
Yeah, sure. And what have you outgrown since you've lived in all these countries? I'm sure there must be something that you were very Indian, and now you kind of, I'm not that Indian in certain things.
I don't think I was ever your typical Indian, you know.
Okay.
Like in my mindset, I was a very global Indian, which meant that, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, which meant that I carry my Indian identity in my heart. I don't need to, and I wear a sari, which is also a very, very prominent and visually, obvious identity. But when it comes to traditions and to adhering to ritualistic practices that probably a lot of Indians practice, I wouldn't. Like I would never, Diwali, yes, to an extent, but more to meet people, wear nice saris and, exchange sweets, but never like the ritualistic aspects of, a festival or whatever.
Yeah.
So for me, it has always been carrying your value systems that are very deeply Indian, which means family-centric, relationship-centric. We would always carry everybody with us, right? It was never individualistic, right? So we come from a collective society in India. We live in an individualistic society in the Western world.
Yes.
So that juggle between the two, that is where my Indianness lies, where I... which is also part of the work that I do in my DEI advocacy, taking everybody along. Yeah, including everybody's voices, right? That is the Indian that I am.
So that you cannot outgrow, right?
I don't think so. No. What I have outgrown is the idea that India is the best country in the world. As As little, young people, we have been trained to think that, oh, Saare jahan se acha Hindustan hamara,
Yeah.
right? You leave and then you realize that when you think like that, you are automatically assuming that the other countries
Yeah.
are not as great as you, right? So that makes you feel and think like a nationalist person instead of an inclusive, collective person,
Yeah.
right? So everybody is the same. Every country is great. Some countries are better than you, and it's good to learn from them.
Yeah.
Their cultures, their infrastructure, enjoy them, and live and let live in peace.
Yeah. So that's the thing, like Sare Jahan Se Acha, you have outgrown that aspect.
I have.
Yeah.
I have.
And I think many must have, or many hold on to something else. But that's the shift, that's the transition that we are talking about here, right?
Yes, and you realize, funny enough, when you leave home, who you are and your place in the world. Because we've been trained and taught to understand as Indians, we are the best community in the world, very multicultural, diverse, secular. But if you sort of peel all of those words, when you look at the way people treat each other, the casteism, the divisive politics between religions, the way we treat each other when our skin colors are not the same as well. We are very colorist. I think sometimes we are probably
Yes.
one of the most racist people in the world, right?
Yeah.
All of this we realize when we leave home. Because at home, all of this is accepted, right? And when we leave home, we suddenly realize, oh my God, what are we doing? We are behaving in very peculiar ways that are not socially acceptable in this part of the world, right?
Makes me think of my time when we were looking for proposals for my sister, marriage proposals, right? And you look
Yeah.
at the website and you look at the demand of
Yes.
the groom side,
Yes.
and the first
Fair,
thing,
tall.
complexion, clear complexion.
Yeah.
And then you realize, as you said, the color is right. We are
Yeah.
really racist because we just want everybody to be fair of the same color.
Yeah.
And probably aiming to have India into just one color.
Yeah.
Um,
One color, one religion,
Kind
one
of, yeah.
caste, probably even. I don't know. And maybe one gender.
Can you imagine how it must feel to look at our country and look at this website and wonder like why? Although we have outgrown, or not outgrown, we have been living with the advertisement which says about apply this cream and you become fairer, right?
Yeah,
and
fair
then you
and
go
lovely.
yeah, fair and lovely. And then you live with that and you become conscious, and teenagers till date are
Yeah.
growing up with the same mindset.
Yeah. And the body shaming. Oh my God.
That
the
has
color
become
the color
worse.
of the skin is one thing. The other is, oh my God, you've lost so much weight. Oh my God, you've put on so much weight. Oh my God. Stop.
And I'm not too sure if this is really that deep. The scale of such mindset is that deep in the Western world.
I think there is a lot of body shaming in general in the Western world, which is also why you see so many Botox,
Yeah,
lip
exactly.
fillers,
Also, yes.
right? Women throughout centuries, across cultures, have been taught to hate our bodies and our faces, right? That there's a whole industry that functions. Imagine
Exactly.
if all of us would wake up one day and love our bodies and our faces, there would be so many industries that would go
Shut,
bust.
right? They will be shut
Right,
because
so-
they run because of our fear.
Yeah, because of our insecurities.
Insecurity, yes.
Yes. So I think it's not just an Indian thing. I think it's a global thing. Probably the degree with which it sort of is propagated varies. But I'll come from the UAE, where every other corner next to a coffee shop is a Botox shop. So you have eyebrow fillers, you have eyelash fillers, you have lip fillers, and you have Botox. And I've seen young women as young as 25 going in for those treatments, which is insane.
Which is weird, right?
Insane.
When you look at all these things, is there something like where you feel that these shifts were the toughest in your professional shifting and also your cultural shifting. Looking at these two, what do you think were the toughest to face? Was it like the India to Europe was the toughest to navigate, or was it the corporate to founder life was the toughest?
I'll answer both questions.
Sure,
I'll start with my personal journey. I was a very young person when I left home, right? In your 20s, you have these certain ideas about life, right? You need to get your master's degree, you need to get a good job, have a good salary in the bank, find a man, marry, have kids, find a house, and settle down, right? These are things that drive you when you're in your 20s. None of that happened as per script in my head. All of these things I thought in my head. I got married at 25, married a German, lived a decent life in between Germany and India. And then we were no longer married. We were divorced and didn't have the kids that I wanted, didn't have the house that I wanted. So I fell back on my career at that time. And I think the hardest thing for me during that transition was just to accept that all of these plans that I made in my head were just plans. And they were not necessarily the life that I was going to live. And to accept that this is not the life that I was going to live. While all my friends were married, having kids, they got married much later than I did because I got married very early. And then they ended up having the life that I had in my head. But I found my career and I did fairly well for myself. Then later in my 30s, I led a sports broadcast network and became their PR and comms head. Mm-hmm. And then I became the first Indian woman to head global comms for International Cricket Council. And before me, there were just men, white men predominantly leading the ropes and selling cricket to the world. So I don't think I would have done any of this had I not had my heart broken and had my marriage failed. Yeah. I would have lived a completely different life. So I think at that time, the transition of wanting to live this amazing European life as an expat wife, even though I was an immigrant wife, and to accept the change was probably the hardest. Apart from learning the language, learning the culture, which is so different from ours. Germans are very, very disciplined, extremely disciplined, very much into timekeeping, extremely punctual, the polar opposite of Indians, right? I struggle to be on time anywhere else. So my ex-husband now used to tell me, give me the time 30 minutes prior to get me ready, right? Because I just couldn't.
Same with me. Yeah.
Couldn't. So all of those things were little things now, in hindsight, when I look at it. They were challenging at the time. And the cold, oh my God. I did not know there is a process to layering.
Yeah.
I used to forget. I used to layer myself up and then go for the shoes. So I used to feel like a balloon and go down and wear my shoes. So you wear the shoes first and then you put on the layers, right?
Really?
Yes. I realized that much later when I was struggling to wear the shoes.
Nobody said that to me when I was in Sweden.
Well, you try it the next time.
I did feel like a balloon and with all the layers. I hated it. And then I'm walking and I saw the other ladies, the local, so comfortable and
elegant.
Elegant, yeah. And here
probably they don't need as many layers that we do.
Kind of, yeah, maybe. But the shoes thing is something new, that wearing the shoes first and then, okay.
Yeah, because you layer yourself up and you're wearing your dunce jacket or whatever, which is puffy, right?
Yeah, it is.
And then you go for the shoe. You're basically bending down like a little teapot and trying to
which is
make
what I did,
work.
and that's what. Good. What a memory.
See, there's so many things nobody tells us. We have to discover all of these things by ourselves.
I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this was going to be a topic that we have to now maybe write it in a script. How to dress up in winters in Germany.
Yes, how to layer.
Layer, yeah. Dress up. Layers. Okay. Then how was the shift, coming back to the question, how was the shift from a corporate to a founder's life?
Yes. So the shift between working in a corporate and starting something on your own, okay? I think it was also driven by a very personal, deeply personal and traumatic experience of grief in my life. I lost my dad in April of 22. That's when I began thinking about legacy. And what do I do to leave something behind for a generation that will come after me? Even though I don't have any kids, I have a nephew, I have a godson who's in Ireland. But I have so many people that I have touched, so many women that I have mentored all through my life. And I wanted to do something that is meaningful and adding value to their lives and my lives. And of course, I had crossed 40 at that time. And you start thinking of the next 40 years of your life, right? That's what actually prompted me to start something on my own. It was very scary. I'm the first generation female entrepreneur in my family. None of us before me were entrepreneurs, right? The thought of not having a monthly income come in was so scary, especially when you're on your own. You don't have a double income where the one income is stable and takes care of the rent and all the other expenses, and you can take the leap of faith and try and do things on your own. So it was a very, very challenging decision, but I knew that if I don't do this now, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. And that's what prompted me to start something on my own. And then Good Day PR happened because I wanted to create something. And I'd worked in so many agencies across my 21-year career. I wanted to found something that is deeply rooted in my values, in a sense of purpose, and also apply everything that I had learned over the last 21 years and share it with clients, with individuals that I wanted to work with, in industries that I choose. And I can say no whenever I want, right? Because if this doesn't align with my values, I wouldn't do this. Right? How many people who are employed get to feel the sense of freedom when they do something on their own? So that was also something that drove me to start something on my own. The freedom, the autonomy to choose the work that I wanted to choose for myself. And I was also exhausted and tired doing sports.
Okay.
So that's...
What was the reason that you chose the name Good Day? What does it mean to you? Why Good Day PR? I'm thinking maybe she wants to, I don't know. I was thinking a lot of things, but I don't know. What do you had in your mind choosing Good Day as the name?
It's actually inspired by Good Day Cork. My best friend Joanna, my best friend Joanna started a magazine and a platform creating events for people from the minority communities in Ireland. And it was an ode to all that she had done. And I wanted to sort of have the PR and communication arm of Good Day Cork in Good Day PR Global, right? So space agnostic is not just Ireland. So it's Good Day PR and Strategic Communications Global. So she inspired the name. She inspired the program and the platform as well.
Does she know that it is the reason? Okay, all right. So thank you, Joanna. Because, it is. I did think that it is similar. I thought maybe it must be a pure coincidence.
No, it is serendipitous.
Maybe I should have asked the same question to Joanna. Here's the opportunity. Joanna, why did you choose Good Day? Yeah, it's too late.
I know why she chose, but I want her to say this, but I know I can say this for her. Is also because she was fed up with the kind of media that all of us were consuming at that time. There was an actual dearth of content, positive news content in the market, right? you always see news that is triggering. Either somebody's murdered, raped, or there's a racial abuse story that does the front pages, right? And all of that makes a lot of money for newspapers as well, because people, funny enough, psychology works. You want to read sensational stuff, right? So Good Day Cork came out of the need to create a platform for positive community-based news, right? So that's what inspired her journey. And the name Good Day, because have a good day in Cork. Thank you.
Coming back to your career, you've sat in rooms where very few women, especially women of color, have had a voice. How has your relationship with power, advocacy, and leadership evolved over the time?
You know, when I was younger, my only aim was to be in those rooms.
Okay.
And to work hard to make sure I'm in the room, right? And as I grew older, I arrived in those rooms and it didn't matter anymore. Even when I was in the room, I had to shout twice as hard, loud, to be able to be heard, right? So I got everything that I wanted to achieve through sheer hard work and pushing and pushing and pushing. And then when I arrived, I realized I don't want anybody else to feel like this, because this is exhausting. We don't have to keep fighting to find a space on the table. I'm going to build my own table, and I'm going to open the door as wide as possible to allow other women who look like me to just comfortably walk in, grab the microphone when they have something meaningful to say, and never have to shout. Ever.
So for me, as somebody who's watching the space, let's say, and seeing it being evolved, and you, somebody from being in that space, do you see the evolution?
I do. But, we are so far behind still.
Okay, still behind.
We're very far behind. There were people, when I started, I didn't see anybody who looked like me or dressed like me. I mean, I dress unique myself, but, nobody who looked like me or had the same skin color like me. And I want that to change for a lot of women who look like me as well. I want them to feel like, yes, there is a way in which I can see myself represented in spaces that are predominantly left for white men or white women, right? I want to be at the decision-making table. I don't just want to be a token in the room. I want to be the person who signs those checks. And I want more women to be in that position to make those decisions.
For me, it is, I see the change. It's nice to see some of the global leaders in the global positions who are Indian origin. That is great to see. But I'm sure, as you said, like, from being inside in that circle, you still see the possibilities are not yet utilized completely.
Yes, and you know what? Maybe you're right in saying and observing that there are more people.
Yeah, like Lina, when you see like Lina Nair, right, who is in that position, or you see Indra Nooyi, and all of these ladies, then people start to look up to them and feel like, wow, it is finally changing, women.
Yeah, but how many women has Indra Nooyi recruited who look like her?
That's the thing.
That's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You see, you can have a Lina Nair, you can have an Indra Nooyi, but how many of them have made sure that the women that come after them who look like them also have the same opportunities that they do? What I have observed in the many years that I worked in the corporate space is that a lot of women gatekeep for themselves. When they arrive at this position of power, they are playing the big game with the big boys, right? They don't necessarily leave the ladder behind and pull it up to help other women who look like them. Well, a lot of women come to them for mentorship and they're like, you know what, sorry, nobody helped us. figure it out yourself.
You think so?
A lot of them.
Okay.
I don't refer to these two women
Yeah.
alone, but I'm saying a lot of women in leadership positions do that today.
That is
It's
a shame.
not a very healthy space to thrive. So a lot of these young aspirational women, ambitious women look at them and feel like, oh my God, this is so disillusioning. Right? When I thought maybe she'll help me, maybe she'll support me. Very few women are capable of seeing through this and not getting caught in their own ambitions and their own journeys and give their hand to younger women to come up the ropes and become something as well. And I'll tell you why that happens as well. It happens because all of us are operating from a scarcity mindset, because we've been taught to believe that there's only one space for one of us. Right? So if I give up my space, what will happen to me? Right? So the more we think from a scarcity mindset, the more we will not allow and let other women come from up behind us. The more these women come up from behind us, the better it is for us as well, right?
Yeah.
We are the ones who are paving the way for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So we shouldn't be coming in the way of that also.
It's a strange world to really understand and how people evolve and not the way that you expect, and you have to really navigate
Yes.
through all these
Yes.
different,
You can't be
different
naive.
mindsets, right?
Yeah, you can't be naive in the big corporate world. You have to be very alert. You have to have the right allies, whether it's men and women, to support you. A lot of people will feel threatened by your presence, by your sheer presence, simply without you even doing anything to them or their careers. They'll just be like, why is she here? She doesn't need to be here. She doesn't deserve a seat at the table, but she's here. Or maybe she's just a diversity hire, a token hire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to fight all of that and still be true to yourself and still have the support and the capacity to help other people.
That's an interesting angle of really having somebody at the table because of diversity, and then how do you
Happens.
prove? How do you prove your capabilities, your skill set?
You know, I've always constantly had to work double as hard as my other white male colleague just to be taken seriously and not being labeled the diversity hire. Even though I'm brilliant, I know I'm brilliant. I'm very qualified, doubly qualified, also very experienced in terms of the skill sets required to do the job. But I still have to work twice as hard because of the color of my skin and my gender sometimes. So you just have to work hard. Put your head down, have blinders on, because the more you start thinking about what other people think about you, the more lost you will get. So blinders on, put your head down, do the work. And I also believe that we're no longer living in a society where our work will do the talking.
Yeah.
So we have to talk about the work that we've done
Okay.
and not allow the men to take credit for something that you've brought to the table.
Interesting.
There's a way in which you do it. If you do it too loudly, then you'll be labeled as too arrogant and too full of herself, too ambitious as well. But yeah, there's a way in which you do it. Talk about the work. Do the work and talk about it as well.
And be a sharp observer, probably, because I think you need to observe and
Yes.
absorb a lot to navigate and find your way.
Yes, you do. And have to be alert as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've been into personal branding. So, from launching global campaigns to mentoring women in 108 countries.
Yes.
What have you learned about who gets heard and who often doesn't? I think it comes to the previous question.
Yes. You know, people who have the audacity to speak up in rooms where they know they probably aren't as welcome as they think they should be, are the ones that get heard. So it is a scary space to be in that room, knowing that people don't want you there, but you grab the mic and you speak anyway. And that takes a lot of courage. And they are the ones who generally get heard because they try to get out of their comfort zone and don't listen to all these voices that are going in their heads. Sometimes these are voices that are in their heads. Sometimes they are genuine voices. People actually don't want them in that room, right? But you open your mouth and you say something meaningful anyway. And chances are 99% of the times, people who come from marginalized communities and ethnic communities are the ones who have an interesting perspective.
Yep.
Because they are not the majority, right? They will, so say if a room is saying that this chair is grey, the chances are that somebody from the minority would be like, they will know exactly the color of that grey, the shade of that grey, and why it is that particular shade of grey, right? So it is so important to listen to those voices, because if everybody sounds the same and looks the same, pastel, beige colored people, blonde hair, then the world would be so boring with those perspectives as well.
It's like a bouquet of flower with just one flower.
Yes.
It looks
white
beautiful.
roses.
White roses, or just the roses itself, right?
Yeah.
And then, but the moment you add a bit of color,
Yes.
Then-
Color and diversity of
yes, then it looks
flora.
Yeah. So that's the beauty.
The fragrance in the room would also change.
Yes.
Right?
Pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. Colors and the fragrance in the room would change. The mood in the room would change and shift.